Beyond all imaginations is what the AAP sweep of Delhi elections has been. What a historic victory. Not just Delhi, the entire nation is stunned at the final count of AAP win in the country's capital. And today on the show, what's the task ahead for this young anti-establishment party which has smashed the two national parties, defeating even the strongest of the BJP candidates, backed by the seemingly invincible Mr. Modi? Will AAP, armed with absolute majority, now succeed in transforming Delhi into India's first corruption-free, progressive city with homes and basic amenities like water, electricity and sanitation for all? On the show today, we will begin with that big question. Will AAP live up to its promises for Delhi and make it a world-class city to live in for all its residents? And of course, corruption-free transparency in governance. That's the simple promise which won AAP the sweeping victory. So let's find out whether it can deliver on those promises. Joining me today on the show to answer that are Nisha Singh, member AAP. We also have with us here in the Delhi studio Badal Yagnik, Managing Director, Delhi NCR, JLL India, and Sameer Jasuja, CEO and founder of Prop Equity. From Mumbai, of course, banker, economist, and the lady who will help us tie up the numbers and also assure the middle-income group of Delhi that freebies will not come at the cost of the taxpayers' money. Meera Sanyal, member AAP. All of you, thank you very much for joining me. Meera, huge responsibility which has come with this absolutely extraordinary, historic victory. Tell me, I mean, are you feeling the weight of it? That manifesto in your hand, are you going through it in detail to see now is the time to start figuring out? You don't even have a moment to wait. You have to start now, isn't it?
Well, you know, it's really interesting. So I have to say that, and I do want to share this with your viewers, I don't think any of us really expected the magnitude of this victory. But certainly when we started work on something which was called the Delhi Dialogue in October, we projected ahead, and you know, this was the idea of Ashish Khaitan, who's a AAP colleague of ours, and Arvind entrusted Ashish, Adarsh Shastri and myself the responsibility to take forward this Delhi Dialogue. And when we were discussing it and arguing it in the party, at that time, you know, a lot of people said, okay, so what's the purpose of this all? And we said, look, let's think forward to the time when Arvind Kejriwal and his team are actually in government in Delhi. And what will their action plan be? What will they start doing from the very next day that they assume office? And the Delhi Dialogue threw up a lot of this. And this was really a very proactive dialogue with citizens across the city. And not necessarily our own voters. We went into Congress bastions, we went into BJP bastions, and we said, look, tell us what are your issues. And we divided the constituency, not on the traditional lines of caste and community and, you know, religion and all of that. But we went to groups of people who had similar issues. Young people, women, villagers, resident welfare associations, businessmen, traders, and said, look, you may or may not be our voter, but what are the issues you face? And what could we, as an elected government in Delhi, do to make your life simpler and better? And this manifesto, you know, this 70-point plan, which I hope will now be our Bible, really grew out of that process of the Delhi Dialogue. And so, you know, when you say that we're worried about it, no. Actually, we've done a fair amount of homework on this. And of course, you know, you have to detail more things out when you're in government, and Arvind and his team will certainly do that. But a lot of these ideas are grounded in very, very concrete discussions with specialists and experts in their field. So we are quite confident, and we are very hopeful that each of these will be delivered in the next 5 years.
All right. So what I really loved hearing was that the dialogues was meant to bring together what has to be implemented from day one of assuming power. So that's interesting that the blueprint is already laid out. Nisha, you had come, you were very, very confident that yes, AAP will win Delhi this time. You've been a corporator, so you understand the economics of it, and also how the current governance in Delhi is just, you know, it stings of corruptions. Let me come to that very first. How do you make Delhi corruption free? Rishwat khori khatm karenge. I think that's the first statement Mr. Kejriwal made to Barkha Dutt in this morning when he got to know that he's way ahead in the race. So let's start with the biggest body which affects everybody's life, and we spoke about it, MCD. How will you end corruption in MCD, Nisha Singh, especially because that's right now under the BJP control?
Yeah, Manisha, you're right. So MCD plays a huge role in the way Delhi is governed, and as you know, 13,000 crore is the budget of this body. So that's a huge amount of body in a huge amount of money with this body. So there are 2-3 ways that we're going to go about controlling corruption. First thing is the Jan Lokpal bill will be passed very, very soon. So that's the legal way of doing things. But as we have seen, corruption is, is controlled by setting examples, by punishing and, setting the fear in the minds and hearts of people who indulge in corruption. So even when, in the 49 days when our government was in power in Delhi, we had, booked 5 people for corruption, and that sent down a signal that there's going to be a zero tolerance policy. We hate corruption from the roots of our being in Aam Aadmi Party. So there's going to be zero tolerance, and if you are caught in corrupt activities, you're going to be punished and you're going to be sent to jail. So that's the message that was sent, and it's loud and clear already with all the authorities that either you perform, you deliver, and you give up your old ways, or you are going to suffer.
All right, so I'm thinking that Lokpal bill, once it becomes an act itself, is going to be a huge deterrent to corruption in daily life, and that's the reason why we need it. All right, so I'm not going to delve too much on one issue because there's just so much to cover on the agenda, and I just want to hear your opinion on each of these. So let's now come to the other big one. Meera, you said the maths has been worked out. Electricity prices to be halved. How does the math work there, especially when we don't even have enough electricity, and free lifeline water of up to 20,000 litres to every household per month? The numbers, are they adding up? I mean, you're saying you worked with specialists. Give us your argument on it.
So just let me first add to what Nisha said in terms of corruption. One of the big reasons that you also have systemic corruption is that the processes are so convoluted, So you have a multiplicity of forms, you have people who have the opportunity to come and rent seek. And an example of, once again, our 49 days was, what we said was that there would be no raids on VAT. So the promise was no raid VAT Raj. And actually during those 49 days, other than people who were defaulters or, basically, cheating the system, there were absolutely no raids. What was really interesting was that the tax collection for that period, for that first quarter, was 1,000 crores higher than the previous year at the same time. So people, this is one of the things which is a famous saying of Arvind, कि जनता को गले से लगा लो, व्यापारियों को गले से लगा लो, and then they repay in kind. And the tax collections went up by a record amount. So one of the things that we have absolutely said is we are going to simplify processes. We are going to bring in e-governance. We're going to remove those opportunities for rent seeking. And I think that that is going to be one of our big planks in reducing corruption, in addition to, of course, what Nisha said. Let's now come to the Bijli and Pani. Let me first talk about water. You have to just go through either the slums of Delhi or of Mumbai or of any of our big cities and see the amount of money that poor people pay for their water. It is the tax on the poor for using toilets, for water, is very, very heavy. You and I don't pay that in our own homes. And this amount of water that we are talking about is really lifeline water, right? You need water to live. And so this amount we've taken into account, a family of 5, and we're saying that this is what the lifeline water is. Now, if you look at the water supply in Delhi, there is more than adequate water to reach every part of Delhi through piped water. The problem is a lot of Delhi doesn't have piped water. And I'm not just talking about, slum clusters. I'm not just talking about juggies. I'm not talking about those areas alone. Let's talk about the area of Dwarka, right? It's one of the largest middle-class planned colonies. It's a beautiful colony. But there's something like, I think in Patiala constituency alone, something like 408 building cooperative societies where middle-class people live. But there is not a single piped water connection. All the water to Dwarka is coming through tankers. And the astonishing thing about this, once again, is that the water supply, one of the major sources of water, is about 2.5 kilometers away from Patiala. All it would actually take is a pipeline which doesn't cost more than 18 or 20 lakhs to provide piped water to Dwarka.
Okay.
So one of the big, campaigns last time was that there is a water mafia controlling water in Delhi. I mean, that is absolutely a fact. And anyone in Delhi will tell you that the Delhi Jal Board is one of, unfortunately, the most corrupt institutions in Delhi. So what we are saying is, let's look at what are the factors that are making these things possible? What are the supply side constraints? What is actually holding it up? And who is actually withdrawing? Who is extracting the profit out of the system? Because there's adequate water, there is a demand for water.
Okay.
And this is being, instead of the government supplying water and getting whatever is due for it, it's going through the water mafia. Bear in mind also, what we are saying is that we will provide piped water connections, and for every litre above, 20,000, which is the lifeline water, you will pay the commercial rates. So in your home, if you want to have a jacuzzi and, wastewater or whatever it is, you're going to be paying the full rate. Let there be no doubt about it. But for people who are really marginalized and really poor and at the moment paying per lota, then of course, I think this is something which is absolutely justified.
Okay.
And if there is any political party who believes that this is a freebie and a dole, I think they are really, they really have no connect with the people. I really feel this very, very strongly.
All right, so let me ask the independent panelist here, Badal Yagnik, do you believe that this promise of 20,000 litres of water, lifeline water, and halving the electricity bills is a doable point in the agenda without actually costing the taxpayer or burdening the existing taxpayer and calling it a freebie?
So Manisha, answering this point, I think so there are ways and means, and there are, in case the leaks are stopped.
Are you convinced with Meera's argument?
Yes, certainly, very convinced.
Okay,
in case the leaks are stopped in the system, and it's been governed rightly, I think so it can be done. There are instances where these things have happened in the past, and given a chance, I think so it's a very thumping victory which the people of Delhi have given to the Aam Aadmi Party, and everybody is looking at the delivery of these promises. Okay. It is doable. I have a firm belief that it is doable. It's only that people don't have the patience and time to wait for it. And that is what is happening. So everybody in today's world is looking for an instant solution. And these things probably would take some time, and there has to be patience and time given to the AAP to deliver on their promises.
Clearly, Badal, if you were in Delhi, you would have voted for AAP. You're asking for time, and the AAP is ready to start working tomorrow and start delivering anyway. Okay, let's come to another very, very big issue. And on the property show, I think this is something that we've been asking for, continuously raising it with the housing ministry at a national level, which is affordable homes. So there's slums, there's affordable homes, and there are unauthorized colonies, and that itself is a huge challenge in Delhi. So, Sameer Jasuja, I mean, map out Delhi for us. We've seen enough and more examples of why slum redevelopment has just not been possible in Delhi. Hugely politicized event. Now AAP says that slums won't be demolished, will be rebuilt with the participation of slum dwellers, and affordable homes will be created in 200 acres which has been identified as vacant unused government land. Doable?
I think the timing is absolutely right now. Even if those 200 acres of land was not available, Delhi is now going to double itself very soon. There are 700 more kilometers going to be added to Delhi, which is more than what Delhi is today. And there is enough and more land available for any government to be able to come and solve this issue of slum development. So that's not going to be a challenge. The challenge is going to be able to work with the DDA, going to be able to execute that plan on ground, which is always the biggest challenge. I don't think Delhi has scarcity of land. It is just now the will of AAP to actually deliver what they've promised to deliver.
Okay, how will they they deliver? I mean, redeveloping slums is not that easy, even if you get the Mohalla Sabha together, but actually somebody has to come in and build. And we talked about DDA. Nisha Singh, there was Ajay Makan, of course, when he was the housing ministry, said DDA should be scrapped. Then we had a BJP manifesto which said DDA should be given the task of building affordable homes in Delhi or making Delhi a smart city. On both ends, DDA to be working, and we've seen the DDA just doesn't work. So what is the solution?
It's very simple. Okay. It's very, very simple. If you start getting into redeveloping those slums, it will be a nightmare according to me. This is exactly what happens in Mumbai redevelopment, where you have to get all the slum dwellers together, take their approval, and you will find enough and more elements over there who will be resisting. They've been living there for multiple decades.
70% consent does not work. So that I have serious doubts, Nisha Singh. I mean, Sameer raised a very important point. Slum redevelopment with the participation of slum dwellers is an absolutely failed example. It hasn't worked. Meera's laughing, but Meera, your city, you know, Dharavi is a big example of how it hasn't happened, isn't it?
But it's very
you know, Manisha, I'm cutting in on what Nisha is going to say, but Nisha, I'll just talk about Mumbai. The situation, Manisha, here is very straightforward. We've talked about slum redevelopment, but who has gained? It has been the politicians and the builders who have gained. The slum dwellers have certainly not gained, and the state, whose land it is, has not gained either. So here we have a very interesting situation. The government, I mean, most of these slums are on encroached land, which belongs to the government of the day, whatever, you know, I mean, it belongs to the taxpayer or whoever you call. These are people who've come into the city, and I do want to make the point that people who live in slums actually are providing services to the city. They are very hardworking people. That is true in Delhi, that is true in Mumbai, that is true in all our mega cities, all right? They are living in slums because they cannot afford to live in any other housing. But they've come there and they're living in situ. Now, these are productive members of society. They are contributing to the economy. What you want to do is to give them decent quality of housing with amenities like toilets, with water, with electricity, etc. And my experience, and this is true in Mumbai just as it is true in Delhi, people will pay for their housing because, by the way, they're doing that. Let's not imagine that these people are living there for free.
I have a very different point. I have a very different point. You know, getting 70% to rebuild a slum is a huge challenge. We've done N number of stories to see why it has not happened. Getting people's consent, how much house, I mean, to get them shifted for a short time, Manisha, then to actually rebuild, it's a huge task. I think this is
Manisha,
a subject
what
I
you're
understand,
asking,
and I feel you're being too simplistic in your solution. We
not
will
at
do it with
all.
the participation of slum dwellers.
Absolutely, it has to be done with that, Manisha. What you are doing with the 70% consent is to tell people, move out of your houses, we will build you these, you know, 200 or 300 square foot things, and there's going to be a high-rise multi-story there.
Hold on a
minute. What? Sorry, I mean, you know, that's the way it's being done in Mumbai at the moment.
Okay, all right, I get it. Okay, carry on. Sorry.
So that's the way it's being done in Mumbai at the moment.
Yeah.
But if you were to go, and you know, there are a whole lot of people who are providing affordable housing at a certain rate, plus you go to the slum dweller, and we have spoken to people. People are willing to take loans, which are 20 or 30-year loans, in which you mortgage your home. So you get people to build their own homes in situ. Why can't we do that? Okay. And that is what the Aam Aadmi Party is talking about.
All right, I will come to Nisha, but Badal, is that a model which will work? I mean, people, because these are also, there are no clear papers, clear titles, there are lots and lots of issues, isn't it?
So, agree with you, Manisha. It's not an easy task as has been defined currently. It's going to be a very, very Herculean task of getting these slums into place and getting these remodeled, redeveloped, giving them the mortgages which have been talked about. There are a lot of litigations, a lot of legislation to it. So it's not going to be an easy task at all. But just adding to what Sameer just said, we're just talking about the current development. What we are looking, what the real estate sector actually is looking is what is going to happen to that 87,000 hectares of land which has been identified for the Delhi Master Plan.
Yeah.
So how is it that...
If at all the Delhi master plan is passed, no, Badal, that's the whole thing. Five times it's already gone for a review.
And you know, Manisha, the thing is that Delhi is a city which is surrounded by 2 other satellite towns which are doing well. Just to add statistics to it, 2007, the total stock of commercial real estate, which is the hub center of driving the economic activity, was 20 million square feet in 2007. 14 million was in Gurgaon, 4 million in Delhi, and close to about 3 million odd in Noida. When we look at it currently, it is 80 million square feet.
Okay.
And 50 million square feet is in Gurgaon, 20 million square feet in Noida, and only 10 million square feet in Delhi.
In Delhi.
So
Okay.
what is happening is everybody is looking at this master plan. How is Delhi going to position itself through all these, both these cities? Else what would happen is Delhi will lose out on all kinds of new kinds of job opportunities which will be created in Gurgaon, New Gurgaon, Noida, Greater Noida. So
Okay.
that's a big challenge.
And this is something that Sameer has been raising for the longest time, that, you know, this whole argument that Delhi doesn't have land doesn't stand. And if you actually have all the land made available in the master plan, Sameer, isn't it? Prices not only of homes, the homes which have become hugely expensive in cities like Gurgaon and also in Noida, now they've kind of become upper middle class in the main sectors, will also crash, Sameer. So it is possible to do a huge, so slums, we'll see how it will happen, but it is possible to do huge amount of affordable homes. Nisha, we had cut in between.
Just to add, Manisha, the Delhi master plan is not addressing affordable housing in totality.
Okay, Nisha, your point of view.
Yeah, so Manisha, I just want to make the point that, you know, when you go to somebody with the solution, and that solution is really in their benefit, it's for them, you've designed it for them. You know, if that is the genuine intention behind it, then you can rest assured that the person will see the benefit and is going to consent to work collaboratively.
Okay.
So that's one part. Now, if you look at how Singapore went about its housing, you know, solving its housing problem 50 years ago, is that the government and the people teamed together. Some part of the, you know, the money was provided by the government, and people had to put in some part of their money. Future earnings were put into their houses, and everybody was asked to invest into their own housing. So that is, you know, there are examples across the cities where housing problems have been solved. And talking of DDA, DDA is sitting on such a huge land bank and is inflating prices in Delhi. And again, even in the master plan, you don't, you know, put away part of it for affordable housing. Well, that has to happen. Affordable housing will be brought in by the government. And that's how, you know, a multi-pronged approach is going to solve the housing problem, the affordable housing problem of Delhi.
All right, I'm going to wrap this discussion here. Meera, final word from you. So it seems like between you and Nisha, you've convinced us that the math has been done. So now it's all about action, which begins ASAP as soon as Mr. Kejriwal takes oath on the Ramleela grounds.
No, absolutely. And you know, one of the things I want to say, Manisha, is that this is an ongoing process. So I was really happy to hear from both, you know, Badal and Sameer, their ideas and their thoughts about it, because one of the things that I think is really important going forward is that no one has all the solutions, not any political party, not any political leader. We have to start engaging with experts in the field. And I would be delighted if Badal and Sameer would share their expertise. All of you are in Delhi. Let's get together. Let's talk about what are the practical solutions, because it is in no one's interest that people should be without a home. I mean, this is a very basic thing. And if these land banks are available and we have good global best practices in the country, let's learn from them and really make Delhi you know, the city it deserves to be. People say, you know, we'll make Delhi a world-class city. Let me tell you, Delhi has world-class people. What it doesn't have is certain basic amenities. Let's get those in place and let's give the people of Delhi the city they deserve.
Absolutely, Meera. Even before we got onto this agenda, of course, you've already enlisted the support of Sameer and Badal. I have volunteered to work on just waste management for South Delhi colonies. So call upon that, because it's it's an agenda very close to my heart. Nisha Singh, Meera Sanyal, we can keep talking about this and we will come back. There are many opportunities. 5 years, you're not going anywhere. We're going to call you back again and again and hold you to your promises, and also be extremely excited if you can deliver. I think the entire country is going to be extremely excited if all that you've said, or even 50% of what's there in that manifesto comes true. Thanks very much for joining me. We have a little bit more time. We're going to come back. We will keep both our panelists with us, which is Badal and Sameer, and let the political guests go so that we can get a little bit more detail in terms of what do you do with affordable housing in Delhi, which of course has gone to AAP with a thumping majority. Stay with us.